Hi, Carol. Thank you for calling.
Yep.
This must be so bewildering for you. We feel like we're doing all the talking here. Are there any questions you might have for us, Carol?
I guess to start with, what the
Hello, everyone, and welcome to JKL Media reviews of Pluribus, the limited series on Apple Plus. It's a show that is running currently, which is something that we don't normally do, but I love that we're doing this because the show is amazing. Today, we're going to talk about the episode 4, Please, Carol. I love that title. Please, Carol. It takes on a new meaning after you watch this episode. So I want to get quick thoughts from you guys. Lou, how about you first?
Yeah, I enjoyed this episode quite a bit. The opening section was interesting and give us the other side of the conversation, which Gilligan does quite a bit. It's almost like one of his signature pieces that he does, along with his long opening scenes with no dialogue, minimal dialogue. This fits right into that. And then the whole Carol portion of the episode was well done and interesting. My only quibble is that I feel as an audience member, I'm a bit of ahead of the show, and I'm waiting for the show to catch up to me because all the things that Carol discovers in this episode, I think have already been clearly shown in previous episodes.
Yeah. How about you, Jesse?
Yeah, I'm going to disagree with Lou, and this will make an interesting discussion. I think we've suspected it, but I think having her prove it in going over the whiteboard, I think is there confirming some of the theories that we have. Yeah, I'd like to see, it's going to be curious about why certain people are immune to this and not. And if we had not met everyone else, I would have said naturally skeptical or paranoid people are just by nature immune to this, but that's not the case because we've seen some of the other people. But yeah, really liked it. And our heroine is not a good person. And that is another thing that Vince Gilligan does often, right? Where he makes the hero not the most likable person.
Heroin, that's funny. I like
Yeah.
that you threw that in there. I see what you did there, as
Yeah.
the meme is. Let's talk about that opening scene with Mansus Oviedo. I thought it was really cool that we get to rewind a little bit and see the conversation from his side. We're actually seeing the same scene flipped, which I dig that kind of thing a lot because it really does show us more about what happened in a scene. This guy is perhaps even more paranoid than Carol is. I don't know, it might be a tie, but he is definitely it's almost he's decided that this is his fate, that he's going to be stuck down here. He is desperately trying to find more people like him, and I love that he's desperately trying to find them, but when he does actually have contact, that it's more confirmation that it's part of the hive talking to him until she calls him an a-hole. I appreciated that we got to see him. I'm assuming we're going to have more of him in the future, that maybe he'll become an ally because
I hope so.
Yeah, because we do see that he gets that Carol was an immune person as well. Of course, it's after he hangs up and he can't call her back because she calls from an airplane. So we're going to get probably more about how they managed to find each other. So yeah, let's talk about that opening scene. I'll go to you, Jesse.
Yeah, I'm guessing as I'm watching this that this is the person that they had shared about. And I I'm the tediousness of changing the radio broadcast. What I found a little odd is he doesn't broadcast anything out, though. He's assuming someone else will be speaking. And I'm thinking, what are they might be doing the same thing, like
Right.
waiting for someone to go. You would think he would have said, hello, is anyone there? And then when he sees the flies, at first I was worried, do we have another situation where there is something dead that was decomposing? But no, it was just food, and so hungry to lick the lid, and that scared
Gross.
me because, yeah, I'm just like, you're going to cut your tongue. And the idea that they're bringing you food. And then once again, I'm asking myself, why wouldn't they just bring sealed containers of canned food or MREs or something, Lunchables that said,
Right.
here, this is, you can look at this, you can tell it's unsealed. We aren't wanting to hurt you. We just want you to be healthy. Yeah, I thought it was, I did, as I talked about, I listened to the official podcast. This is the first time he has worked in the United States, this actor, and he had actually, the pages of handwritten are all in his handwriting. He had
Mm,
done that before they had started filming,
that's
to get himself in mood, even though he did not know what the setup was going to look like. So he couldn't physically try to do everything, but he knew that was one thing he was going to be doing. So he started writing it, which I thought was pretty
yeah,
interesting.
good actor.
Yeah.
Carlos Manuel Vesca. Yeah, I look forward to his part. How about you, Lou? What'd you think of him?
Yeah, I thought he did a great job. Again, a lot of conveying through showing, not telling, because obviously he doesn't speak English and he's by himself. That makes it doubly difficult. Conveyed really well. His food situation is getting dire, yet he still doesn't trust the others, if you want to call it, for lack of a better term. And I thought it was like Jesse, I was cringing and he was looking at that can. Was he eating dog food?
Mm-hmm.
At the
He
end,
was.
yes, he was.
Yeah,
Yep.
ugh, ugh. How much longer can he hold out? So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. And it has that usual, as I mentioned, signature Gilligan style of very quiet scenes with long shots and whatnot. And again, my only quibble would be that I knew right away who it was, so I was hoping for more than and what the scene gave and for how long it played out.
Yeah, we only have what, 10 episodes? So I'm worried that it's going a little slowly, but we also worried that about Severance and they stuck the landing. And I'm really hoping that this goes the same way. I'm not as much of a Vince Gilligan, I'm not as knowledgeable about his stuff, but from what I have seen in the past, he does a great job with tying things up at the end of seasons or cliffhanging if there's going to be more. So I have faith that things are going to go.
Yeah.
I do wish that there had been more of him as well. So even if that was just the ending of the
Mhm.
episode.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about the mayor. So Carol's having a discussion with the mayor, and I feel a little vindicated here because I did posit that they don't have that same kind of joy, taking joy in literature, in movies, and that sort of thing. And they very much don't, they're like Drax. I've mentioned it before. They're like Drax from Guardians of the Galaxy, where they don't get nuances. They don't really understand media. And I don't know why that is because they are a compilation of everyone. And some of those people did take joy in reading, but it feels like they've evened out and they've taken everybody's experiences and aggregated them to the point where they have to mute any kind of extraneous emotion. And They're very matter of fact. They don't hesitate to break Carol's heart, even though she has to convince them to tell them more about how Helen felt about her books. I do believe that the questions that she asks tells me that she had a feeling about Helen's outlook to her work, but to have it confirmed is heartbreaking. But I enjoyed her chat with the mayor, and we do get to see more about what the hive mind thinks. What do you guys think about that conversation? We can do it in a short way or a long way, however you guys want to do it. It wasn't a huge part of the episode, but it was, I think, a very telling part of the episode. Let's go to you, Lou.
Are we talking about the guy in the shorts? Because
Yeah, the guy she was talking to.
yeah, because that's not the mayor, right? She just said to that one guy, "Are you the mayor?" And she said, "I want to talk to somebody," and he says, "No, not you." So
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
that
Whoever she's talking to on the
yeah, the guy in
couch.
the
Yeah.
shorts. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that
Sorry.
really, by the way, that really was the mayor.
Oh, was it?
Yes, they reached out to him and he said, yes, I will do this.
Hmm.
That's
And so he
cool.
gave him like a day, and they said between takes he was on the phone doing mayor stuff, but he actually did do that. And the
Cool.
guy who was in the bike shorts is a pretty Jeff Heller, who was in the Somebody Somewhere TV series. He's been in American Horror Story. So he's a very funny actor.
He played
So
Shorty. Sorry about that.
yeah, no, and so he played Larry. So yes, but continue, Lou. Yes.
Yeah, I thought that conversation was the personal stuff with Carol. Yeah, with Carol and Helen. I thought that part was very revealing about the fact that she thought her literary book was just okay, and the fact that her and her agent thought that she could write that book and release it and it wouldn't hurt her career with her main series. So I found that, like you said, Karen, heartbreaking but insightful. And also that they, as a unit, don't seem to like they can't differentiate between the brilliance of a Shakespeare versus her work, which I've suspected all along. So I found that quite interesting. And it continues with Carol's still not is still treating these individuals as objects in a way as instead of individual people.
Which technically, she
Yeah.
is right.
Yeah.
So
But
yeah,
how
and
long can you maintain that?
yeah, who
That's
knows?
the question.
Yeah.
Maintain what?
The treating them not as people but as
Oh, okay.
objects.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although, are they going to cotton on to that? I don't think so.
I think they are very naive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I apologize to anyone that, I mixed up the
Yeah,
mayor
don't worry
and
about it.
this other
No
guy.
worries.
All right.
Okay, how about you, Jesse?
Think that I'm going to go a little bit deeper, and I may be overthinking this, but in their mind, there is no, because they don't do nuance, to them, enjoying something is enjoying something. So when they say Carol's book brought that person, the crazy lady, right? The one she
Mm-hmm.
called joy, to them, that's just as equal as watching the Mona Lisa or reading Shakespeare. To their mind, joy is joy. There is no degree of joy and there is no degree of beauty. If that moved you, then therefore it is as good as anything else.
Can I ask you a question real quick
Sure.
based on that? So there's someone who loves everything in the world,
Yeah.
right? We might hate something, but someone else loves it. So does that mean they get both sides of it? Or,
Yes, I think they understand both sides. They understand that Jesse Jackson can't stand grits, but that
dude,
Linda Jackson adores grits, right?
grits are the best.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So
They're awesome.
the other thing is,
I'm wondering though, do they understand hate or do they just note it and ignore it?
I think they understand it. They just don't feel it anymore. And this is all speculation, but the
Yeah,
idea that because if it is very hard to quote unquote hate someone if you understand everything about them. You
right.
understand where they came from, what they're doing, and that's their nature of knowing everything.
Yeah, so I don't think they can hate. I don't think they understand hate. I think they can note it, but I don't think they can feel it.
I agree with that.
Okay.
And I think they understood in the past that someone who was a bigot would, they understood that's where they before, and that's one of the reasons why they feel like Carol is drowning because of these negative emotions and they want to save her. So Piff the Magic Dragon,
Mm,
America's Got Talent and Fool Us, says he has a prayer. Please God, never let me know what Teller really thinks about my magic.
yeah,
And they all joke about that, right? Because Teller is considered one of the best modern magicians in the world.
that guy's funny.
Yeah, Piff is funny. And so Carol gets that. Unfortunately, the prayer is, I agree with you guys. I think she always suspected that, but Helen loved her. And 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 I love the way she did this, where she's on her whiteboard, she moves away all the storyboard she's working on, and what do I know? And then question mark, can they can lie? And then when she asks them questions, and you could see, I thought that was played wonderfully. They don't want to tell things that will hurt her feelings, but they can't lie. This is truly one of those logic twists, right? Jeffrey always lies. Jeffrey just said he's lying. Okay,
Right.
but if that kind of thing. And so they don't want to say she didn't care for the book. So they looked for every possible way to get around that. And Carol keeps pushing them, and which gets, and we'll talk about at the end how she pushes that logic to the ultimate conclusion that is actually scary. And as I said, she's not a nice person. She may be our hero, but she's, I'm fascinated by doing this, that
Yeah,
how they do that.
they do lie by omission, to be fair. They don't consider it outright lying, but they'll withhold things from
Yes.
her. I find their whole approach to things very interesting. We can see that they are flawed beings, and that's pretty overt that they're flawed, but in an alien life form, essentially, that might be their nature, but they're definitely flawed.
And
Uh,
remember, they're human. They said, we are not aliens. There are not any aliens on this planet.
yeah, but a virus is, and I'm not talking about alien from another planet. I'm talking
Yeah.
about an alien to
Okay.
us
Yes.
life form, if that makes sense.
Yes. Yeah. The way they're using that. Yes. It
Yeah.
is. Yes.
Yeah, not from another galaxy or whatever.
Yeah.
They're just a virus. I'm guessing a virus that's evolved into this character thing. But anyway,
Hive mind.
hive
Hive
mind.
mind.
So I really do want to talk about Carol's whole plan to get Zosia to tell her what she needs to know. And in doing so, she tests it out on herself. I adored that scene where we see little flashes of her watching herself.
Yeah,
It was really funny. And she learns stuff about herself, definitely, that, and I feel like she is us in this moment. It's a lot of stuff that she suspected as well. And getting it confirmed is probably unsettling to her. And I'm not quite sure why she does test it on herself, because she could dose Zosia several times if she had to. But I do think it's a really great story beat where she is watching herself under the influence, and it's quite funny, I thought. And here is where we see the actress really showing her chops at this point. Let's briefly talk about that, and then we'll move on to her actual full-scale plan. Jesse, let's start with you.
Yes, so hate to keep repeating myself, but they did no coverage on this scene. The only camera was the one that from the angle of Carol recording herself. So she had to do it all with very little takes because they weren't sure what they were going to use. They said that if there is a DVD extra, seeing all of that, she sings Melissa Etheridge at one point,
That's
and
awesome.
they had to cut it out because they did not have
They
time.
didn't have the license, yeah. I
Or
wonder
no,
if it was
just
Come to My Window.
yeah. So I think she had to do this to try to figure out the right dosage. I
Okay.
did love it was a bad junior year, the heroin. And they have to give her the heroin even though they know it's a bad idea. And
Yep.
they even bring up there are people, which I thought was interesting too, that even though this virus, the physical demands of addiction are still there, and
Yep.
that did not magically fix it. And so they have the others in the hospital that they are working on. Yeah, I loved her point, looking at it, being embarrassed, admitting to herself under this that she found Pirate Girl attractive. And yeah, so I thought that was a really funny scene. Just the idea that everyone, I'm sure it will get old in the long run, but for now, it's just really funny when she asks for something that is so not good for her that yes, Carol, this is where the 4 blocks from here that you can get heroin.
It was great. How about you, Lou?
Yeah, I think the whole reason that they showed her testing it on herself was for that reveal at the end that she was attracted to Zosia.
Okay.
The rest of it was just a chance for Carol, the actor, I don't, Serena, whatever her name is, to just let herself go and improvise a bunch of stuff that was fun to watch and fun for her to perform. But for me, the main reason for that scene was for her to reveal to us what we have already, again, being ahead of the show a little bit, already know is that she's attracted to her. She has to be attracted to her because she's the model or she's the cover of the copy of the model on the cover of her book. So how could she not be attracted to her? So, but for her to admit that out loud, and now she said it out loud, because it's always something to carry something inside of you, but when you say it out loud to yourself, it makes it a little bit more real. I think that it'll be interesting to see where that goes, especially in light of what happens with the rest of the episode.
Yeah,
And
very much.
and she feels, I think, that she's cheating on Helen, that she would be physically attracted to someone so soon after Helen's death.
So, what do we think? Maybe a couple weeks since she's gone back and forth across the
Well, I
world.
think it's only been the episode shows how many days. I
Oh,
don't remember. So it's been
right.
less than a week, less than
Yeah,
2 weeks.
yeah.
Yeah, that didn't register for
So, so what was your question again, Karen? Because I think it was still a valid question.
Yeah.
What do we think is going to happen with the two of them, or?
I'm not sure that's a huge relevant conversation, but
Okay.
the fact that she knows now, and I do think you've answered that, Lou, that her confirming it is really the jarring bit. I think she knew it, obviously,
Yeah.
but having it right there on video shouting at her, I think she realizes now that it's going to work, that she's going to get the truth out of Pirate Lady. But in figuring that out, she has learned the truth about herself. And that's very profound, I think.
Yeah.
And one of the things that she's trying to learn is how can I reverse this?
Yeah.
is there something we can do to reverse this whole joining thing?
Yep.
And ultimately, that's the whole gist of the episode is what she's learning. And I have to say, Zosia, this poor woman, just keeps getting put through the ringer by Carol. And it started with just Carol hating her essentially. And now she's been blown up. She's gone into cardiac arrest now. What more is coming for her? I want to know again what you think of her whole plan. I said we'd talk about that in a minute. I think it was ingenious, her plan. She knew she wanted the truth out of someone that they're going to protect themselves. And she learned that they can't lie, but they also withhold truths. So I think this was her ingenious way to maybe loosen the restrictions that they had on what they could tell her. And brilliant, I thought, to use sodium/heroin on Zosia. And the way that turned out was very interesting. And she's already guilty. She already feels guilty for causing so many deaths. So now what is she going to feel about harming Zosia after she's learned things about herself in regards to her? Let's talk about that. Whoever wants to go, doesn't matter.
I think she, Carol is so focused on trying to save the world. She can't even open the idea that perhaps this is her wanting to change this is a bad thing. And I wonder sometimes if they would live and let live. If they had said, okay, Carol, we're not going to try to change you, would she be fighting as strong? But she's just a bad person. I think it was fascinating that because of the way they answered the question, she was able to go, okay, there is a way. And they're clever. Like earlier when they said, you told us not to talk about Helen. Helen is off limits. We can't share what you said, which that's just their excuse not to have to tell her bad things. And now we're doing this. And I thought it was a brilliantly filmed scene when she takes him outside. How was your heroin? I ended up throwing it away, which, by the
Mhm.
way, kids do not put unused drugs in the toilet. That is bad. It goes to a sewer system and it is not good for the public water. Just a little hint. And then as they're getting close, everyone starts coming because they know what is happening. I It is hard for me to comprehend how you could know everything all at the same time, right? And still yet to be this individual was or and be able to have this sense. And then when they're going around her was just brilliantly filmed. I don't think they're going to kill off the other lead of the show, but they sure might.
Zosia, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, who knows? I do want to ask Lou a question before he answers.
Okay.
Jesse, you are saying that Carol's a bad person. Do you feel the same way, Lou?
No,
Okay.
not.
Yeah, same here. I don't either.
When I think of her, I think of, is it Jessica from Roger Rabbit? She says, "I'm not bad. I'm just drawn that way." I still think when we find out Carol's backstory, we're going to find out why the way she is, which is the power of fiction that we can get into that kind of stuff. And because I truly believe that we are going to get her backstory, and we're going to find out how she became the way she was. I'm equally interested to find out Zosia's backstory because,
Mhm.
it sets up an interesting dilemma for that character because as part of the collective, she'll do anything to please Carol, anything. But what if she has a family of her own, a husband, wife, children, a dog, cat, with the whole 9 yards? We don't know. And she, in her previous life, is straight, like she's a heterosexual. So there's that whole interesting dynamic that we have yet to explore that I'm really hoping the show is going to get to. Instead of putting Zosia through the ringer every week, I want to get some character development with her. Yeah, I would say Carol's not a likable person, and she's
Mm.
the most least empathetic potential savior of the human race that I think Ashoka could come up with. But I'm not convinced she's a bad person.
Yeah, I think she's a victim of her own circumstance here, of many
Like
circumstances, let's put it
I'm
that
guessing
way.
that somebody hurt her really badly when she was younger.
We do learn a bit about that in this episode that she was sent for conversion therapy when she was younger, and that can
Oh,
really mess
I
up
missed that.
someone.
I missed
Oh
that.
yeah, she
Happiness
that
camp or whatever. I can't remember.
yeah, that's mentioned that hey, you felt
Okay.
really alone when you were there,
Hmm.
and wouldn't you like to be part of us? Wouldn't you like to not feel
Okay.
alone
Yeah, I remember the
anymore?
camp part, but I don't remember it being conversion therapy.
Oh
Yes.
yeah, it was conversion therapy, and
Okay.
that Carol likened the joined to the counselors there, that they
Okay.
were very one note and wanted to change her, as do the joined. And I feel like that's part of her hatefulness towards them, is that she has gone through this before on a smaller scale, and she has fought to keep her identity. And I feel like that's her life, is fighting to keep her identity. We know she wrote these books and they became popular, and that's why she continues to write them, even though she would rather do this other thing. And so she's fighting for her identity there as well. And she's a fighter, and seeing that that's a lot of her motivation, is that she doesn't care about being alone as long as she knows who she is. And they misread that as you felt alone and depressed and all this. Wouldn't you rather not feel that way?
Hmm.
And I think part of her personality is just not caring about being miserable. And Helen couldn't even get her out of that. And I don't think she has any need to change herself at all. She doesn't feel the need to not be alone.
I think I agree. I think she struggled so hard to find out who she is that that's been such a struggle for her, and for her to lose that after all the struggles she would be in or has been through, that would be terrible for her.
Yeah.
She
Yeah, it's the
would she
worst thing she can think
yeah,
of.
she can't let go because she struggled so hard to get where she is now. She built
And
like what was a fairly good life for her with her and Helen and book
Hmm.
series, regardless of her, negative feelings about it, but she was in a pretty good situation.
Yeah.
and I think you guys talking about it makes me I like how you said it, Lou, better. It isn't that she's a bad person. She is making what I find are selfish decisions
Mm.
that are hurting other people. And I don't think she sees them as people yet, as we talked about earlier. They're just, they're just things.
Yep.
And in fact, they're actually the same. They said if someone was drowning, wouldn't you help them?
Yeah.
And she feels like they're drowning. And so therefore she has to help
And,
them.
and they feel the same way about her.
Yeah.
Yeah, go
Because
ahead.
that touches on an interesting conversation that she had with Sophia in the hospital before she drugged her.
Yeah,
She was telling me, but don't you know that if you make me part of you, that will make me unhappy? And they say, well, it's part of our biological imperative to absorb as many as we can. And I think what the show is doing really was it's getting really creepy now is you have all these 95% of the scenes with Carol moving around wherever she is. She's all by herself. Yet when soon as something happens, all these individuals come swarming towards her like microbes, like white blood vessels or cells coming
yeah,
to fight infection. And now that I'm seeing that happen, every time I see them forming a mob, I'm getting really uneasy. It's getting really creepy every time that happens.
Which means
yeah.
that they're watching her
Yeah, they're watching her
all
all the
the time.
time, but
Yep.
but we're not, she's not seeing them, but they're there all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's pretty creepy. And I think what happened with, if I'm jumping ahead, Karen, let me know.
No,
But
that's all
I
right.
wanted to
Go.
talk about once she administers the drug to Zosia, that like her test run with her worked fine, but we're seeing the difference between that and the hive mind. Like the hive mind was working really hard to prevent Zosia from answering Carol's questions to the point where it put her in cardiac arrest. The hive, they're showing again, they're showing that the hive mind really does have a strong survival instinct, which it's got a this hive mind's got a interesting set of characteristics. It can't lie. It doesn't like to hurt things, but that doesn't stop it from hurting things if it wants to survive. Yeah, so it's very well done showing. And like I said, the image of all these people coming swarming around her yeah, it's like white blood cells trying to fight an infection. So it's really well done. And I'm I'm curious as to where it's going to go next. And that's a good thing for a show.
Yeah, I agree. That was where I was going next too, so that's good. Yeah, the white blood cells, that's a great comparison. They're fighting off the infection of Carol, essentially,
Right.
and that they're trying to revive Zosia at the end as a
And I think
hive
it was the
as
funniest
well.
moment of the episode. Is it okay if we try to revive her? I thought
Right,
that
right.
was
Will
so
it make you
funny.
sad? Yeah,
So were they going to let her die if it did?
I'm guessing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you wonder what would they there is there something you would think they wouldn't let someone die, but I guess in their mind, right, everyone's together. Yeah, it's just very strange.
Yeah, she won't
Hmm.
die because all of her experiences and memories, they'll be retained by the hive.
Yeah.
So her body will die if they don't revive her, but she will live on in because they feel that way about Helen.
Yeah.
And I feel like maybe they don't value one human life as much as like a human being would.
To them,
And
it's
that
like a
kind
cell.
of shows that it's like the more pressing thought is, would Carol like us to do this? Because
Mhm.
that is their imperative at that moment. I love how she tries to get Zosia to give her information, and she does manage to get a bit out, but then the other hive mind people come. And it is
Yes.
creepy that they're watching her
So
all the time.
yeah, I think what we can take away from this episode, it is possible to reverse the joining.
Right,
We
How we
don't know,
don't know
still don't
how.
know how.
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
Jesse, how about you? You got
Yeah, I think I've already shared, right? It is the idea that this hive mind is protecting each other, and they didn't realize that they shared something they shouldn't have because Carol is smart enough to get them to say this. And the a not answering is an answer in many cases. And so as we've established, they can't lie. They can do a lie by omission. They can twist statements and find a way. If you can find one person who liked Night with the Jersey Devil from Bruce Springsteen, you can say, no, it isn't the worst Bruce Springsteen song of all times, which is actually a fact. It is the worst Bruce Springsteen song of all times. And so I think this is fascinating how we do that. And the I go back to the Mud episode in the original series, right, where they had the androids and where they got them in this loop where we could go back, they can't figure this out. They can't commute. They can't do this stuff. And I am they are very smart, but they are also very dumb in a lot of ways. And I'm curious where they're going to go with this and how we're going to do this. And I also, how far will Carol push this? And,
yeah, to what lengths is she willing to go? And
yeah, and there's something about you hate the enemy, you become the enemy. I don't know the exact quote, but when she talks about you can't make an omelet, she is trying to make an omelet by breaking eggs.
sure,
But in her mind, she's doing it for the right reasons.
sure.
I'm,
And we're
you know,
supposed to think that is
yeah,
the case because we want to stay human,
yeah,
right?
God is on my side. So therefore, I can do anything I want because I'm in a holy war and I am trying to save the human race. And it's fascinating.
So I have a theory and I want to get
Yeah.
your take on it. I think that and it might be someone else, that she's going to sever a person by accident. And I think we're going to get more of an insight into the virus through whatever person she severs, because they will have memories of things that happened while they were in this joined mind thing. What do you guys think about that? Do you think she might end up doing that? Sever? We know she's going to sever someone, right? And they're setting it up that way. I would like to think she does it by accident because that's her MO, right?
Yeah.
So what do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I could buy that something like that could happen by accident. I'm just trying to square away how it would happen though, because of what we saw in this episode. We know drugs definitely won't work. I'm thinking of something like, I don't know, something really ridiculous. Like maybe if she can get him into like a really thick walled room or a lead-lined room or something like that. Because we don't know how the joining is. It's somehow it's psychic or telepathic or whatever. But I don't know if something like lead-lined rooms would have blocked telepathy. I don't know. But that's the only really thing I could think of right now. I don't know.
A vaccination?
But yeah, but unfortunately, Carol doesn't have any scientific knowledge, right?
Yeah.
How's she going to
Yeah.
develop one? That's the
I'm
problem there.
just
So it has to
throwing
be
stuff
something,
out.
yeah, it has to be something practical she could physically do. Like somehow she has to isolate one of them, get them as far away as from all the others. But it's worldwide, so you would have to think that this bond is not hindered by distance in any
Right.
way. Yeah, I'm just trying to think. Yeah, like a lead-lined room is about the only thing I can come up with right now.
Sure.
Yeah.
There are ways to kill viruses as well. Who knows how it's going to happen? I just think it would be funny if she did it by accident.
Mhm.
Yeah. I don't think it'll be yeah, it's not going to be a standard answer like what we think because she just doesn't have the knowledge. Now, the ace in the hole could be this guy in Paraguay
Right.
because he's working this ham radio. We don't know how, and we don't know what his job was. I don't think they said he was a doctor, but
No,
maybe,
he runs a public storage type of place.
okay. I thought he was just hiding there. I didn't realize he was running that place.
Yeah.
But he might be the ace in the hole for that solution. That's what I'm thinking right now.
How about you, Jesse?
Yeah, I am curious how we will be able to stop the high mentality. And I think your idea of she's going to stumble onto it is a good one. I could see them putting full hats on. And the issue is you don't have a guinea pig because they aren't going to want to be off of this. So you're going to have to somehow
Hide
work
it.
with them without them knowing. Yes, go
Yeah.
ahead, Lou.
Yeah, you're gonna have to hide your true purpose from them.
Yeah. Similar she did with the truth serum today.
Yeah.
Now, I assume like the guinea pig, no, the rat at the very beginning of the episode, the first episode, I guess was affected,
Yes.
and that's when they bit. So are all animals affected? Because the lion still ate people. We know that from they talk about that in the second episode. So anyway, yeah,
Yeah, that was an RNA vector, right? So
yeah,
I would assume that was, I think, whatever, maybe certain animals like rats and maybe monkeys, chimps share
yeah,
that close DNA, but other than that, I would think, yeah, animals in general are unaffected.
Yeah, I think they would
yeah,
have to be close to us on the evolutionary, on the like genus species type of
Genetic
deal.
scale.
yeah,
Right.
Yeah. Now they might be working on a formula to take in the rest of the animals. I don't
Sure.
know, but because they're working on one for Carol.
and they said I do, and they say, hey, we're working on this 24 hours a day, 7 days a week,
Yeah, yeah,
and which is scary, right? That they care that much. The other thing I thought is they would have at least some mixed emotions of the way she acted under that conversion camp. You would think there would at least be some debate internally. Is this the right thing to do? Are we doing this the right thing?
Yeah. Yeah,
Hmm.
you would think. But
Yeah.
I would think that maybe because they even out. It's
Yeah.
like an average of everyone on the planet,
Yeah.
to put it in the simplest terms. They don't really think about right and wrong that way. It's a virus that wants to spread, like viruses do in real life. We just saw that with this huge pandemic we had.
Yeah.
COVID didn't discriminate.
Mm.
Anyone it hit, it made sick.
Yeah.
And its whole reason for being was to spread.
Yeah.
I feel like this is a very strong allegory to COVID and things like that. Maybe the AIDS epidemic
Hmm.
also, because there's a very strong LGBTQ storyline in this.
Yeah.
I really do wonder what's going to happen with her knowledge of the fact that people can be severed from it. That really adds another layer to this. I love that we're getting more information about things that we've already seen with Mr.
Hmm.
Paraguay. And I love getting the other side of something. So hopefully we'll see that again. I can't wait for them to find each other
Hmm.
because I have a feeling that they're kindred spirits, that they're both really upset about this whole thing and they will work together to
Hmm.
find an answer. So yeah, I can't wait. Are they going to find more people as well that are
There's
immune?
always that possibility, yeah. For those two right now, the big barrier is not only distance, but language.
Although we do know that she understands and speaks some
Mm.
Spanish at least.
Yeah.
And I really hope that there's more use of translation. Like, he didn't translate the conversation from Carol's perspective, but Vince Gilligan did translate this time when we saw the other side of the conversation. I understood what he was saying anyway, and what she was saying in the airplane, but that was very rudimentary and most of it was swearing. So that's easy enough we learned all the swear words
Yeah.
in Spanish because that's funny when you're in high school. So let's see where it goes. Thanks for speculating on that with me.
Welcome.
I can't wait to see where we go from here. And we're always going to be making up what's going to happen. We're going to wonder what's going to happen. So I'd like to make that a big part of our conversation. What do we think is going to happen based on the knowledge we get in each episode?
Yeah.
I find that very interesting. Okay, I think that we're done. Do you guys have anything else to add?
No, I think that we've covered it all.
Okay.
Yeah. I can't think of anything either.
All right. So with that, we're gonna wrap up our conversation. Where can people find you, Lou?
They can find us on this YouTube channel, JKL Media Reviews, where we're doing Pluribus right now and The Expanse. Starting in season 1, we're up to episode 5 now. On my own channel, Lou's Reviews, you can find our archived JKL Media episodes of Babylon 5, as well as the animated movie. I also have my Stephen King podcast and the writers podcast interviews up there. And on Twitter and X, you can find me or Twitter and Blue Sky, sorry, you can find me at Lou W. Sytsma, Sytsma.
Okay, Jesse, how about you?
I am at Jesse Jackson DFW on X, Twitter, Blue Sky, all the others. Jesse Jackson on Facebook. Would love for you to go over to Set Lusting Bruce and check out my music stand-up podcast. And Next Stop Everywhere, my Doctor Who podcast. And how about you, Karen?
Yep, you can email us at jklmediareviews@gmail.com. I am at Aleveria, Aleveria on social media. I do have a few posts up on TikTok, and they're of my sweet kitty who we lost this year.
Mhm.
He's snoring in one of them, which is very
Uh-huh.
amusing. And he's trying to eat pizza in another one. So there's that. I have some posts about books up on Instagram. I do book quotes and things like that. And my blog is alliestuff.com. So with that, I'm going to say, let's not join the joined. So
Stay separate.
stay separate. That's right. Stay separate, stay healthy, keep yearning and keep taking joy in things. And we'll talk to you next week. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. And
Yay.
scene.